Here's the last one, Malachi. Malachi is the last words of God in the Old Testament. And the last words are very important. Christ's last words contained his legacy for us, his body, which was broken, his spirit poured out. In Malachi, we find the last words from God in the Old Testament. His last words are, and look at Malachi chapter 1. It says this in verse 2, I have loved you. Malachi is all about worshiping our God of love. The first lesson is in chapter 1, verses 1 through 5. We should respond to his love. In verse 6 through chapter 2, verse 9, we should honor his love. In chapter 2, verse 10 through 16, we should expose any who don't love God. In 2:17 to 3:6, we should trust in his love and expect his blessing. That's 3:10 through 12. It talks about his blessing. In chapter 3:13 to 4:3, we should fear our loving God. In chapter 4 through 6, we should acknowledge our loving God is coming for us. But finally, and I want to close with Malachi 3:7, because there's a wonderful lesson in here. It says that we should acknowledge God's loving ownership. And God says to them, why are you disregarding the fact that I own you? In 3:7 he says, how shall we return? And he said this in verse 8, will you rob me? You're robbing me now because you say, how have we robbed you? He said, because you are not giving me my own, my tithes and my offerings. And rather than this being a verse on giving of money, it's truly a verse about giving ourselves back to God, all that we are. The tithes and offering were to show God's ownership. The hymn writer put it this way, all for Jesus, all my being's ransom powers, all my thoughts, all my words, all my doings, all my days and all my hours. God wants us to see Christ our crucified and to see him as our glorious King of Kings and to rest beneath his wings as we worship our God of love who owns us. The prophets speak all of Christ. They speak of Christ, first of all, of seeing him as ruler in their lives, of trusting him as the one who's going to carry everything out, and of hoping in him as the one who will bring everything to pass as he promised. I hope in the books of prophecy we will see as God's servants Jesus Christ and worship him.